Yo, what's going on guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's Bertrude and today we're using one of my more unique builds. This is the self-healer. So this is a level 30 build. We've got 25 Vigour and 28 Faith. They're our main two stats on this one. In our flask we've got the Faith Knot, which allows us to use all of our incantations, and the Opaline Heart here for some extra damage negation. And here's a quick look at the armour and talismans. Pay special attention to the Blessed Juice talisman for some health regen, and the Old Lord's talisman to extend the effect of our incantations. The first thing to note about the build is that we've got a shield with a parry option, and then our first weapon is this sweet hammer with the Ash of War Prayerful Strike. Really suits the build, giving us some health regen when it lands. Next up we've got the Bandit's Curved Sword with the Sacred Blade. We've also got the Spear with the Rings of Light, although in the video this has mostly got Sacred Blade on it as well. And then finally we've got the Corded Sword, and we do have the option to use two of these in our invasions. All of the incantations on this build are all self-healing incantations. We've got the Blessing of the Erd Tree and the Protection of the Erd Tree for some self-heal and some added protection. And then we've got our two healing spells, Urgent Heal and the Lord's Heal as well. And that's the build guys. This is quite a difficult build, although on paper you would think that it is quite strong, but I'll explain why it's quite difficult as the video goes on. Anyway guys, sit back and enjoy. So guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having an absolutely awesome day, whatever you're up to. So yeah, this is my healing build, the self-healer. This is what I'd class as one of my more unique builds. I think it's got a very distinctive playstyle, and there's definitely no other build in my arsenal quite like this one. I absolutely love the healing spells in this game. When I'm fighting anyone or a group who are utilising the healing spells, it always puts a smile on my face. I think within a group playing through the game, having a designated healer role is something we don't see enough of. I always think it's just really cool, and I think the healing spells are definitely underutilised. I mean, yeah, it's easy for people to put the self-heal on the Blessing of the Erd Tree and just go and have one-on-ones with that and then give themselves, you know, as many healing flasks as they like as well as that self-healing spell. But for me, you know, I think you can take it a lot further than that. I think to play a designated healing role, it works a lot better to really commit to the character, and that's what I've tried to do on this build. It's a designated healer, although, you know, fair enough, it's a self-healer. There's no group aspect going on with this build. It's all quite selfish, but what do you expect from an invader? You know, there's no other option but to have it as a self-healing role, not a group healing role. But still, this is what I mean, the character. It's all about the character. So I think of this guy as like a really deprived kind of... He's got nothing, he's got no wealth, he's got no, you know, worldly possessions. All he's got is his faith, and it's his faith that keeps him strong, and it's his faith that gives him access to all these awesome self-healing spells. And I think the character reflects that as well when you look at the weapons. We're not using any fancy weapons, we're using quite basic, dull-looking weapons. We've got a hammer that looks like it's been made literally just out of a rock and a stick of wood, you know, tied together. We've got a very dull-looking spear. And the Bandit's Curved Sword, you know, maybe it's just something he found out on the road when he's been on his travels. But all he's got is his faith, and it's his faith that keeps him strong and gives him access to these self-healing spells. Now in the intro guys, I did mention that this build was quite hard, and let me just explain what I mean by that. Some of these spells can be viewed as being quite strong. The Blessing of the Erd Tree mixed with the Blessed Juice talisman, over time that's giving you a lot of health regen. And sometimes you play against players who are using that kind of setup, but then they also have 3 or 4 healing flasks as well. And for me, playing a healer like this, with such a lore heavy type of focus on the build, having the healing spells as well as the self-healing spells and the regeneration over time spells, it just feels a little bit too much. I feel like it's going against the character and the whole kind of thing that I was trying to achieve with this build. I just wanted it to be a healing spell build. I didn't want access to having the flasks, so initially I tried it with having no flasks at all, and I was only giving myself the spells to heal up, so that would mean I'd have to try and play a bit more passive give myself time for the regeneration to work, give myself, you know, find a bit of space if I needed to heal up so I could use the urgent heal or the Lord's heal. And that is what kind of felt a lot more true to the playstyle that I was looking for. But giving myself no heals at all, it kind of made it very, very difficult at times. If they was just rushing me down, which is what often happens, I would not have the space to heal up. So what I actually ended up doing is literally just giving myself one healing flask. After a bit of experimentation in these invasions, you'll see me invading on some of the ones where I'd have no flasks, and then you'll see some of the ones where I just have one flask. And that one flask is what I keep to one side when I'm in a real pinch and I feel like I can't give myself space. It's literally just a life-saving flask. So that's what I settled on. I'm relying on the healing spells to like heal up, and I'm relying on the playstyle to make a bit of space and find the time to use the healing spells when I need to. But I do have that one healing flask in reserve for if I really, really need it. Now let's start taking a little look at these invasions. You can see on this one we're using the spear, and I just think the weapon selection on this build is awesome. In terms of lore of the character, like I said earlier, it just all feels absolutely perfect. He's got nothing, he's got no worldly possessions, all he's got are these few basic, you know, shoddy looking weapons, but that's all he needs because his faith and the power of what he believes in is what gives it all strength and gives these weapons, you know, the ability to actually fight in combat like this. I just think it's really cool. But you can see we're using the spear on this one, and it's got a Sacred Blade on it. I did a lot of switching around with Sacred Blade. I had it on the spear initially, and then I also put it on the Bandit's Curve Sword, and then I actually put Rings of Light on the spear, but I don't have any invasions that actually showcase the Rings of Light. All the invasions, I think pretty much all the invasions on the spear and the Bandit's Curve Sword, they're both using the Sacred Blade, which is good because it gives the weapons a buff afterwards, which, you know, again, it suits the lore of the character. His faith is giving the weapons a buff, giving them more damage, making everything a little bit more viable. It just fits really, really well. I really like this build, guys. It's a proper good build, you know, level 30 as well. It's strong, it's a good build, it's alright. But it's not OP, it's not a very, very strong build. It's like, it works really well as a character. It could be OP, like I said with the flasks earlier. If I give myself a few more healing flasks and then all this health regen and all the health spells on top, it would just be ridiculous. But that's not what I'm trying to do. You know me, guys, I'm trying to make a playstyle and a character. And that's exactly what this build is. So we've got the hammer on this invasion. I absolutely love this weapon. The hammer is probably the favourite weapon that I have on this build. And as well, that one's got the sacred... Oh, what's it called? The Prayerful Strike. There you go. God, I need to sort my brain out, guys. I can never remember what stuff's called when I'm in the midst of talking about it. I need to sort that out. I need to start doing some brain training stuff or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, the hammer has got the Prayerful Strike, and it just fits the build so well. Gives us some more self-healing if we land it. That's what we've got in this invasion. And you can see these two guys, pretty sure they're both light rolling. Not got the best connection, but I'm making things work. I'm doing some damage. I'm getting the job done. The summon here is using the Bloody Slash, but he's obviously not got too many brain cells going on in that helmet because he's about to use Bloody Slash again, which kills himself, and he did the job for me, which is always quite amusing. I'll take it. You know, my faith saw me through, and my faith led to that guy killing himself with a Bloody Slash. Always good times, guys, always good times. I'm pretty sure this guy's light rolling as well. I absolutely despise the light roll, as you all know. Can't stand it. I just think it's ridiculous. I'd rather people just spam the Bloodhound Step. At least that is somewhat balanced these days. Light rolling for me is just an absolute joke. Can't stand it. It needs a nerf, guys. It needs a nerf, but it doesn't matter because, you know, things have gone okay in this invasion. We're handling it. We're handling it, and now the horse is nearly dead. Switch up to the spear at the end of this one just to get him, and it's a done deal. This is a really good invasion. I'm fighting this duo, and I think that this one really does showcase the play style of the build. As you can see for now, one of them's up top there on the right, the summon. So I've just got time to buff up before the fight starts. Obviously at the start of every fight we use the Blessing of the Erd Tree and the Protection of the Erd Tree That uses all of our blue juice, and then we need to take another blue flask, as well as taking our flask of tears, you know, the tear flask as well. So I don't like doing all these buffs before a fight, but with this build it really is necessary. I try and not have a really buff heavy build when I can help it. I don't like doing all this stuff before the fight starts, but as I said, on this build it's just part of the character. It can't be avoided. It's how all this build kind of works. But yeah, this is a really good showcase of this build. So you can see there we use the Prayerful Strike. We've got a nice bit of self-healing. Keep your eyes on our health bar at the top there on the top left. You can see that we've got that constant health regeneration going on. The Blessing of the Earth Tree, really good spell obviously, but when you pair that with the Blessed Juice Talisman and the Old Lord's Talisman to extend the effect and the length of the self-heal on the Blessing of the Earth Tree, we are getting a lot of good self-heals. But as I said, you know, if they pressure us, that often doesn't count for much, especially at level 30. They can often do more damage than we're able to regenerate in a short amount of time. And it's tricky as well with the heals. As you saw earlier, we managed to get a Lord's heal off not so long ago in this invasion, but we did have quite a lot of space. If we're ever in a pinch and they're pushing us, it can be really hard to get space to get a healing spell off. But remember, we do have that one emergency flask, but I try not use it when I really, you know, unless I really have to. You could see there we got an urgent heal off, but the summon came and did more damage than we actually healed for just with one hit, so it kind of cancelled the heal out. You could see there we tried to get an urgent heal and he just rushed us down before we was able to actually activate it. I go for the parry here and he kills us. So we took a loss there, but I don't mind that because I thought that was a really good fight. And I've kept it in the video, especially because I think that invasion really does showcase the playstyle of the build. You know, we lost, but you could see we was using the hammer for the self-heal on the Prayerful Strike. You could see the health regeneration constantly ticking up. You could see how ineffective at times the self-healing spells can be when a summon just comes in and hits us for more than we actually heal ourselves for. You know, it showcased how we have to get space to get a big heal off with a Lord's Heal. Just a really good invasion, guys. It was a good fight, and like I say, you know, I don't mind losing these fights. If it's a good one, I don't mind losing, and especially when it showcases the build so well, you've got to just put it in there. You've got to put it in. Now you can see we're using the double-coded swords on this one. This is probably this character's most valuable asset, but again, you know, I don't think it's a very flashy sword. Although it is all like shiny and fancy and stuff, I think the idea of that sword is that it's his faith that kind of powers the golden light that's coming from it. So, although it does look shiny and a bit, you know, flashy to an extent, yeah, I do get that. But I also think it's lore accurate for this build. So the coded swords definitely have the place on this one, although he does have that really deprived look about him. The coded sword is a really cool sword. It's just a nice change from the other weapons that I've got on this build, especially with the option to use two of them. Makes for a different playstyle. I tend not to go for the parry when I've got the two coded swords out. Just mix things up a bit, keep it fresh. Keep it interesting, guys. That's what we're all about here. Keeping things interesting, mixing things up. Variety is the spice of life. So as you know, this is a level 30 build, and something that I've noticed about level 30 currently is that the over-level summons, man, the over-level summons are just... It's becoming a bit crazy, like, to be honest. It's getting a little bit ridiculous. I think we really need some kind of balance into these phantoms at low level. Some of the things I've been fighting, I've been invading on a couple of different level 30 builds lately for a couple of upcoming videos. And the over-level phantoms, it just seems to be like an all-time high, and they're even more of a problem now than they've ever been. That's how it feels anyway. Don't get me wrong, I love invading at level 30. It's one of my favourite invasion ranges. But you know, thank God for level 200 as well. At level 200 at least everything feels balanced, and like there's no real problem with over-level summons. Everyone's just powerful and everyone's doing a lot of damage. But at level 30, when you're fighting some of these players who are obviously level 200 themselves, it just feels a little bit ridiculous at times. But, you know, it is what it is. It doesn't dampen my enthusiasm for invading at level 30. It's just a bit... It can just get a little bit annoying, and I just think it needs looking at. But I'm not holding my hopes up for that, you know. You know how it is, guys. It is what it is. We need From to sort this out, but will they? Who knows? Who knows? We shall see. So we've got another one with the double coded swords here, and this is actually a decent invasion, guys. We just destroy this summon. Nice bit of spacing. He's looking for a parry. He ain't going to land it. He's not going to land it. He gets one shot on us there. The Holy Water Pot's really good on this build. Do a good bit of damage in the attribute to getting us a lot of kills. And look who it is. We've got a Guts, guys. You know what I think about Guts. I'm sick of seeing him. I'm just sick of seeing Guts in this game. Please, please stop it, guys. There's no need. Stop cosplaying as Guts, man. I swear to God, every single video there's a Guts. I'm gonna make it my sole purpose from now on, invading an Elden Ring, to just absolutely destroy any future Gutses that I see, because I'm sick of seeing Guts. I hate him. I hate him. I'm sure he's a nice guy, and I'm sure in the Berserk anime or whatever it is, I'm sure he's like pretty awesome. But I'm sick of seeing him in Elden Ring, guys. I'm just sick of it. Anyway, we're into another one here. We've got the hammer. And this was quite a long one. This was quite a long invasion. This went on for a while, and again, this one kind of showcases the playstyle of the build and using some of the self-healing spells, getting a bit of space, backing off, healing, going back in, coming back out, healing, going back. You know what I'm saying, guys. You've got it by now with these invasions. I think it's quite an obvious playstyle that I'm going for with this one. It can be quite difficult with the level 200s, over level phantoms and all that stuff. It can be hard. If they're rushing us down, not giving us any space, it can be difficult. But this is the type of build where if it all goes to plan and you manage to get the win and, you know, get a few self heals in there and you come out on top with the invasion, it just feels so good. Sometimes using these quirky builds that are a lot more difficult than some of your other builds are far more rewarding. And I kind of encourage anyone to try it. Try this build or try a similar build, or just try a quirky build. Try something different, because when it works, it really does feel good. Anyway, guys, this is the last invasion. Switch to the spear here to finish off this host. And there we go, it's a done deal. Take it easy, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. Look after yourselves, look after each other, and I'll see you all on the next video.